Good morning. This is Fairla B, and I'm at the park. I am outside at sunrise, and you might be able to hear the birds. They sound so sweet and delightful. It is so wonderful to hear them this morning. I came out here today because my eyes needed a break from the indoors. You know, there's not a lot of light right now. It's very early in the morning, but the sun will be rising and I'll be out here in order to get some sunlight in my eye, because today's video is about your eyesight. Now, eyesight depends on light, and the very best light that is available on this earth is the sunlight. Without sunlight, your eyes will not work properly. And you can see this with people who have albinism. People who are albinos cannot spend any time in the sun. They can't be in the sun. So their eyesight is poor, and they always wear glasses. You need sunlight, okay? So what's been happening in our culture over the last probably 50 years, but more and more increasingly as time goes by, is that the sunlight is being replaced with artificial light coming from screens, coming from LCD screens, cell phones, laptops, tablets, television screens, movie theater screens, screens of all types, right? And is this a good substitution for sunlight? I have to tell you, no, it's not. It's not a good substitution for sunlight. Sunlight is a living, breathing entity. Sunlight is a spirit. And the windows to your soul, which are your eyes, collect this spirit through the sunlight that you're exposed to on a daily basis. So try to get some sun if you can. Every day when you go outside, don't wear shades if you don't have to. I understand if you have had work done on your face, then you have to cover that because you want to protect your skin from the UV. And if you're spending all day outside, obviously that's a different story as well. But try not to wear sunglasses to improve your eyesight. Another thing very important to improve your eyesight is to limit your screen time. Well, you say, I work in front of a computer screen all day. What am I supposed to do? Okay, well, let me just break it down to you real quick what the computer screen is. It is a set of very, very rapidly blinking pixels. These pixels are blinking much, much faster than your own ocular nerve would do if it was looking at a real object. When your eyes have to focus on something, like say I want to focus on one of these beautiful giants right here, one of these majestic beings, these trees. If I wanted to focus on one of these, my eye would have to vibrate. My ocular nerve has to vibrate in order to bring this image into focus. My ocular nerve has to work. This is a 3D image. This is an actual tree. So for my actual eye to hit this actual tree, and for your actual eye to hit an actual object, especially a living object, even better because there's a spirit in it. But even if you're looking at an inanimate object, your eye is doing the work. Your eye is working very hard to focus and to bring that image into you so that you can see it. So if you have to be in front of a screen all day like most of us do these days, limit your gazing at the screen. Try not to stare at the screen, okay? Try to look away as much as possible. especially if you're watching a movie, because movies are designed to draw you in, to hook you, and then they start reeling you in like a fish. And when that happens, your eye goes to sleep. Okay? I'm saying flatline. I mean, your eye doesn't have to work at all, because that screen is doing all the work for your eye, and your ocular nerve is atrophying. So you do not want to stare into a screen for any period of time. You want to glance at the screen because you want to see what things look like, but you don't want to stare into the screen and gaze into the screen. Another thing about the screen is that you want it to be on dim as much as possible, because that artificial light that's going into your eye, it's going into your dilated pupil, and that's hurting your eye. When you're outside, your eyes contract and constrict, okay? So your pupils get tiny when you're outside because of the sunlight. So you're actually using that muscle as well, because of course your eye is a shutter, and it constricts and then it dilates, and it constricts and it dilates. When you're inside, you're usually dilated, right? Unless you have a bright light shining in your face. And so when you look at a screen that's very bright, your eye doesn't properly constrict. Your eye is still dilated because your whole self doesn't really perceive that as being in the light, because it's just a little screen, you know. It's not really, it's not a bright light. So you want to look away from the screen as much as possible. Do not sit there and stare into the screen if you don't have to. You can glance at the screen. I mean, sometimes you have to stare at the screen longer than other times, but that's why I'm making videos that only have one take, because I don't want to have to stare into the screen. I want to be able to spend my day not editing videos. So I'm just making simple videos like this that simply have one take, and I can post that, and I don't have to edit anything, because editing requires a lot of screen time. And you will notice that people who are graphic designers and editors and people who sit in front of a computer all day, they normally wear contacts or glasses because their eye muscle is atrophying. Okay, look at real things. Look away. If you have to be at a computer screen, use it just minimally. Look away and focus on objects. Okay? Focus. Use your eye to trace objects up and down, side to side. Trace the object with your eyeball, okay? And focus on the edges and the contours of that object in order to work your eye muscle. There are a lot of videos on YouTube about eye muscle exercises and about vision improvement, so I'm not here to do that. I'm just here to bring in the piece about the screen, because the screen is really robbing people of their eyesight. Another important thing to remember about eyes is that they depend on vitamin A. Okay, so you want to be taking vitamin A. This is the one I got from the Self-Health Resource Center, which is the only place I recommend to get supplements. It's drclarkstore.com. Very pure. There's no additives in here. There's no solvents. The vitamins and nutrients that they produce are very, very pure. The purest on the market. Another thing, so you want to be taking vitamin A if you have eye issues. You'll hear that in every video. Another thing that's very helpful is CBD, which is good for everything. And I recommend CBD across the board for any condition. And fish oil. You want to get a high-end fish oil. I know there's a lot of, this one is virgin krill. I don't know if you can see that, virgin krill. You want to get a high-end fish oil. You don't want to go the cheap route with fish oil, because it goes rancid pretty easily and pretty quickly. And I can tell you from having tried many different brands that the very most expensive fish oil is the one you want to get. And that one is virgin cod liver oil. It's about $40 a bottle, but you need such a small amount of it that you will notice an improvement in your eyesight right away, because it kills inflammation. It's loaded with vitamin C and omega-3 fatty acids. So that's my video for you about eyesight. Limit your screen time as much as possible, guys. It's really not good for you. Okay, have a good day. Get outside and get some sunlight.